Touch my hair as you pass my chair. Little things mean a lot.
Now, some of you may wonder why I'm using a 1940s pop song to introduce my talk this morning. There are two reasons. I think the first and the most important is if you listen to the words of that excerpt, it is all about recognition, it is all about praise, and I think that's quite powerful. There is also another reason, and that was because I knew we were doing a text question voting type operation. I thought I'd set you a challenge, and if anyone in the room can text in on the question line the artist that's singing that song, there is a prize. I know.
I was going to say, shall we do the number 07918 971 720?
I know there is one member of the audience who already knows this because I tested it out on him earlier this week, but he's not allowed to enter and I know who it is. Why am I here this morning? Well, we've heard from some big organisations around what they're doing for staying healthy at work. But what I'm going to try and do, and that's the reason for the title of my piece on Little Things Mean a Lot, is hopefully demonstrate that it doesn't necessarily have to be big issues and big changes that you can make to really help improve the health of your workforce and make a difference to your business. The East of England is characterised by small and medium-sized enterprises. We have a number of big businesses, but most of our business and most of our employment are in small organisations, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about today and our experience at Ipswich Building Society. And hopefully, at the end of my presentation, you will all feel inspired to take out the card that's in your pack, look on the back and see how you can sign up for the Employer Network. First of all, though, I'd just like to explain a little bit about who we are. Even though we do a lot of PR, we do a lot of advertising, I would suspect a lot of you in the audience have never heard of Ipswich Building Society. We are, as you might guess, based in Ipswich, and the map you can see there has got where our locations are. We have at the moment total assets of around £500 million, and that's grown over the last 4 years, and I'll come back to that a little later on. We employ round about 100 staff, but we have a membership, predominantly in the East of England, of 65,000. And we were privileged to be a runner-up in the Business and the Community Regional Awards earlier this year. Now, everyone has to have a journey these days, don't they? I mean, whether it's X Factors, the dancing programmes and so on. So I'd just like to take you through what our journey has been with staying healthy at work. I got involved in this about 4 years ago now, 3-4 years ago, when I was invited to a breakfast in Ipswich. Which was addressed by Chris Akabusi. The first disappointment of that breakfast was it was a healthy breakfast. I turned up expecting to have a bacon roll at worst, but in fact I got fruit and muesli. But what inspired me there was Chris Akabusi, who spoke very passionately about the need for healthy workforces. We signed up for the Fit for Work, and we were privileged to be a trailblazer for Ipswich Borough Council in that one of 5 in the town. We then moved on. There's been a lot of activity around, particularly in Suffolk on this, and we signed up for Healthy Ambition Suffolk and became a Gold Award winner, one of the first in the county. The first thing I decided I needed to do when I did this, though, was find someone to do the hard work. I could say the words, I could have the ideas, but Jo Palfrey in our marketing department, rather foolishly probably, decided to volunteer to help with this. She's in the audience today, and if you want some practical ideas around things that we've done, Jo is the person to talk to. And then more recently, I have got involved in the Staying Healthy at Work initiative in the East of England, and I'm pleased to chair the Regional Champions Group. And we've done lots of little things. We do have a We Fit. part of the money that we got from being a trailblazer with Ipswich Borough Council was a small amount of money, but we decided to buy a Wii. So we have tennis competitions and all sorts of things, and we have set aside a room for that. We do have a walking club, and you can see on the screen a group of intrepid individuals walking out one lunchtime. Where we're based on Ransom's Euro Park in Ipswich doesn't exactly have a lot of natural beauty. Those of you who know it know that it's very flat, it's very built up, and it's not very inspiring. And to go out for a walk on your own actually can be a bit of a soul-destroying experience. So we do try and get groups of people together, and that's one of the larger groups. It may have been just because we were going to take a photograph of them. But often it's just 2 or 3 people who go out to walk. We did have some yoga classes. I think they probably collapsed at the point at which I threatened to attend in my leotard. But there are other things like that going on. But one of the things that we learned, and I learned very early on with the Staying Healthy at Work initiative, was that physical well-being was very important. We work in a business where we don't have the sorts of issues that we heard about a few moments ago. It's a relatively safe environment. But there is a lot of stress in the workforce. I will use that word. I know perhaps we shouldn't. And very quickly we learned that the mental well-being and emotional well-being of our staff was very important. So we do try to do lots of things that help people in that area. We do have an incredibly flexible working pattern. And most people, if they want to adjust their hours or the days they work, are able to do so. We do insist that people get up and talk to each other. I mean, how many of you work in organisations when you sit next to someone and instead of talking to them, you send them an email? I always find it astonishing with my teenage stepdaughter, who will sit next to a friend and send a text message rather than talk to her. And it happens in the workplace as well, doesn't it? You know, people don't get up and talk. It used to be thought that it wasn't a good thing to see people wandering around the office. They ought to be tied to their desk, keeping their heads down on their screens. We actively discourage that and encourage people to get up and wander around the building and talk to each other. I would echo the comments earlier today around the 9 till 5 idea. I don't work long hours. Some days are long because you're travelling or whatever. But the one thing I won't accept is a culture where staying at work late is a sign of strength and power. I have worked in an organisation like that, and I saw the consequences, particularly in terms of ill health and sadly alcoholism, that came from that way of working. If you can't do your work in 9 till 5, through your normal working hours, then there is something wrong that needs to be dealt with. The other thing that I think is very important is leadership from the top. I'm fortunate that my executive team, in the main, love to exercise. I myself do the occasional very slow half marathon, but I have got a finance director whose idea of fun is to canoe 120 miles down the Thames, and a sales and marketing director who last year climbed Kilimanjaro, and who is now thinking of something else to do. So I think she's going to cycle across Vietnam. So it is. We do set those examples, but they also know that the long working hours is not something that we encourage. Why did we do it? Well, we didn't have a terrible problem with sickness absence. In fact, our sickness absence was quite low. But we did have a problem with retention, and that was something I thought we needed to tackle. I took over as Chief Executive of the Society on the 1st of April 2007, 1st of April probably being quite an appropriate date. And some of you will remember that in August 2007, Northern Rock ran into the buffers, and we'd got the start of the financial crisis. We knew we were going to have to make changes, and we did make changes. But we also knew that we wanted to carry on as an independent business, and we are an independent mutual. And I saw the health and well-being of our staff as being key to that. It is part of our society's values. If you read our society's values on our websites or any of our publications, we do talk about the way we treat our staff. And we are strong believers in our corporate social responsibility. So we do things as well, and I think it is part of the staying healthy at work around volunteering. All our staff can have a half a day a month to volunteer, and a number of them do. Not enough do. I was talking to Joe on the way across this morning. I would like more of our staff to be disappearing for an afternoon once a month and going helping in local charities. We do have a match funding scheme, so when people do charity fundraising, and recently a group of our branch staff raised around £3,500 for a local hospice. We match that from the organisation. Now that, I think, is creating a strong emotional well-being for our teams. What is it meant to us? Well, we have reduced absenteeism. There's no doubt about that, and we can measure that. We have reduced turnover quite significantly in the last 12 months, but it's quite hard with staff turnover to know whether it's the economic climate or it's something that you're doing. We were recently awarded the Investors in People Silver Award, one of about 300 companies in the UK that's got that. And again, the feedback from the Investor in People assessor was very positive in terms of the emotional well-being of our staff. And we've had lots of other awards. But I think the real key to this is in the business success that we've achieved in the last 4 years. The financial services industry, to say the least, since 2007 has been troubled. We've seen the nationalisation or near nationalisation of a number of banks, and we're still in that place. And I think we could see a lot more problems this year. We're proud of the fact, therefore, that we are the only building society in the UK that in the last 4 years has seen its total assets, its mortgage lending, its savings balances and its profit increase every year. Now, some of that is taking advantage of economic circumstances, but a lot of that is down to the effect of what we've done with our staff and got them on board with us. And we think that really is a clear demonstration of the need for ensuring the health of your workforce. Thanks very much for listening, and I once again say, please pick up your card and sign the pledge, as it were. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul.